What's up, everybody? Matt Dawkins here with Dawkins Media Company. Welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to talk about the art of a great story. And we're going to unpack sort of the bones of every good movie you've ever seen. And this is not original context like we always say. We're curators. We love to go out, find good information that we can sort of run through a filter of things that are worth sharing with you. And so today, if you are familiar with Donald Miller and story branding, he has done an unbelievable job of just unpacking what makes a great movie, a great story, ultimately a great commercial, which is where we're going to get to by the end of this thing. But we're going to probably just pick a movie in just a minute, and we're going to talk about you're never going to be able to watch a movie again the same. So if this is not news to you, you've heard this before, just consider it a great reminder. But I think it's worth it for us to understand how we can sell better, how we can promote, and how we can market better, because it is a tried and true, timeless, really strategy and tactic here in the way that you can really begin to tell your business's story. And so to understand how to do that, let's look at the 7 pieces of any great story. The easy target for me is Hunger Games. I always think about Hunger Games. It's the story of Katniss Everdeen. She's you see her in the beginning of the movie, that there's something that she wants. She's tired of the oppression. She's tired of being less than. She wants a world that's sort of marked by peace and not by violence or oppression, with the peacemakers. And all of a sudden you see the introduction of the Hunger Games. Her sister is chosen. She volunteers as tribute and has no idea what she's doing, but she doesn't want her sister to be killed. And so she decides, I'll go in her place to go and fight all these other randos. But she doesn't know what she's doing. Good news, she runs into Haymitch. Haymitch is a guide of sorts. He's been there, he's done that, and he actually offers to help her if she will sort of follow his plan. And so after a series of resisting moments, she says yes. He lays out the plan. She follows the plan, and it gets us towards the end of the movie where something happens. And again, in every great movie, this happens. It's a moment where all hope is lost. This is, I see it as like Peeta and Katniss are the only 2 left in the Hunger Games, and the voice says there can only be one. And so they decide they're going to eat these poisonous blueberries, and they're just going to end both their lives. And as they get ready to put the blueberries in their mouth, God enters the machine. That's what this a cinematic phrase that talks about where everything turned around out of nowhere. Wow. The voice on the intercom says, wait, just as they're about to eat those poisonous berries and kill themselves. And essentially, for the first time ever in the games, they allow for 2 people to win. And Peeta and Katniss win the game, and that's the cowbell, right? The success at the end. That's the good, happy ending that we all want with every good movie. So what are the bones of that? And then how does this make sense in the way that we market and share the story of our business? So every great movie has a main character, a hero, a protagonist that wants something. But there is conflict that's introduced early on. It might be a moral, ethical dilemma. It might be political. It might be good versus evil. It might be racial. It might be emotional. It might be family tension. It might be loyalty versus the right way forward. Some sort of conflict is introduced that puts the main character, the hero, the protagonist, at odds, right? So there's a character that wants something but encounters a problem. And the only way to solve that problem is there has to be this introduction of a guide. And in any good movie, the guide from beginning to end is the same kind of person. They've been there, they've done that. Whatever the hero, the protagonist is about to go through, the guide has already been through. And in order for this movie to be a good movie, the guide, he can't change, it can't change. All right? They have to be the same in the beginning of the movie all the way to the end of the movie. Because the one that's going to change or overcome is going to be the hero or the protagonist, okay? So the guide shows up, and the guide, been there, done that, has the plan. And there's this call to action. Say, hey, if you follow me, you'll get what you want. That's what the guide introduces. And ultimately, the hero has to say yes to the guide. The hero has to be willing to follow the plan. step A, step B, step C. And in a good movie, in the following of that plan, there's this moment where it looks like it's not going to work. And then something impossible happens, right? We said God enters the machine and everything turns around, and then we get to hear cowbell at the end. Now, not every movie you've seen ends with cowbell. Sometimes the movie ends in tragedy, and sometimes that tragedy is there to set up the sequel or the next movie, right? And that's a strategic move of cinematographers, producers, movie makers, right? Is to kind of leave you hanging and think, this can't be the end of the story. That's in a good movie. Now, we're going to tweak these 7 things for you, and we're going to talk about, well, how does this begin to make sense for someone that owns a business who wants to tell a story that captures people's attention, that, because we all want to see ourselves as the hero, all right? So we have to be careful using this strategy as a framework for a great commercial or a great advertisement or just a great sort of life interest piece that we're going to put out there on behalf of our business. So step number 1 is know that you, in the sharing of a commercial or a story, that you, the business, you are not the hero. You're not the hero, all right? Your audience is the hero. Your customer, your patient, the person walking in your door that you want to see transformation. Remember, the guide can't change. The guide has been there and done that and has a call to action, invites someone to follow a plan that's going to lead to success. The hero is the one that's going to change. We want our customers to see themselves as the hero, all right? So number 1 is to make your audience the hero. And so this is where knowing your target audience is everything in the way that you share your story. So you're not the hero, all right? Step number 2, all right, is you have to define your audience's problems, all right? And so hopefully, if you've been in business long enough, you've seen your product or service change people's lives, and you can pull real stories out. Those are the best stories to tell anyways. You can make one up, you can fabricate it, but at the end of the day, if you've got a real story that you can share that you know is going to relate with the audience you're trying to reach, that's best case scenario. So I work with a lot of chiropractors. What do we see all the time? Folks that walk into practices, headaches, migraines, my back is hurt, maybe I was injured on the job, maybe I was in an accident. These are sort of easy target stories to relate with the largest audience I can relate with. If you're a chiropractor and your practice has a specialty, right? Choose stories of people that have been through your practice, had their life change as your target audience, right? So I'm going to tell that story because I want to reach more people like that person. So I'm going to tell that story, and as many people as can see themselves in the sort of the before stage of that person's life, the better, because that means they're going to see me as a guide, which is what we want, all right? So customer's the hero. The problem, we want to make sure it's a relatable problem, and then we realize we are the guide, that we get to be the guide with the solution. So Jenny struggled with migraines for 7 years. For 7 years, she went to docs, she went to specialists, she took medication, she even tried surgery, and nothing worked for Jenny until one day she walked through the doors of fill in the blank chiropractic, right? This is the introduction of the guide. When she showed up, she found a doc that listened to her. She found a doc that took time, that wanted to completely understand her situation. He wasn't just knowledgeable and educated. He was a great listener, and he also, he cared, right? So now the guide has been introduced, and through that initial consultation, what they realized through the help of chiropractic and what we know as chiropractors, we took X-rays, we came up with a plan where we were going to be doing regular adjustments, taking very specific vitamins that were going to help with the headaches and decompression, whatever, right? That she followed that plan, Jenny followed that plan, and 3 weeks later, she stopped having migraines. That was 3 years ago. She hasn't had a single migraine since. That story sells. So what did we do? We had a hero that was the customer. We had a problem, was the migraines. We had a guide. That's you. That's the brand. That's the business. Who laid out a call to action and a plan. made it simple, right? Jenny was able to come in, get a hold of a plan, follow that plan, and her life is changed because of it. Discuss the potential for failure. We didn't really talk about that. That's a way that you can sort of introduce the possible negative scenario. If we don't see this plan through, you could spend the rest of your life with those migraines. I don't want that for you. You don't want that for you. Let's follow the plan. Well, look, we followed the plan. We got the success story. So I don't know. That's fun for me to think about, and the way that we put stories together for chiropractors and businesses all over the country. If that's something that you are interested in having Dawkins Media Company come alongside you, nothing would bring us more joy than to be able to sit down with some of your patients and help put these stories together. If you want examples of some of those, follow us on Instagram. We like to share some of these stories on our page as well, and we'd love to do the same for you. So it's been another episode. Wish you well. We'll see you on the next one.